Right, we're going to try something a little bit different today. I've just cut some wood. I've cut some, this is European oak. I've just cut a pen blank down, got it to the right size and glued me tubes inside, so I just save a bit of time. So we're going to put those on the mandrel. What I'm going to probably do is this is a slimline pen. As I say, we're just going to sacrifice these and see what happens. I'm going to colour them in. So I've got a couple of pens here. I've got a blue and an orange for Luton Town Football Club. Come on, you Hatters. And I'm going to see if we can colour these up and then coat them with acrylic and maybe do a little bit of an odd shape on the bottom end of the barrel. Just, you know, with a little indentation for your thumb, just to see what happens really. It'll probably end up a load of old rubbish, but we'll give it a try. I'm going to load up the mandrel and we'll carry on from there, just see what happens really. Right, we're going to load up the mandrel as I said. Just put a spacer on first. Piece of wood. Sometimes these are a bit tight, I don't really know why. I should really be matching up the grain, so let's have a little look. See, I might not have matched up the grain, so let's just check where we are. Okay, so I am just going to make a little mark across there so I know where the grain is. Okay, stick the first one on. Put it down there. Another spacer to keep them apart, and then match up the grain. That spacer onto there, and then do it up. Give it a couple of good turns, not massively tight, but that'll do. Bring the tailstock in, tighten it up, just give it a tiny turn, just to put a little bit of pressure on it. That'll do. So we're ready for spinning it round now and rounding it off. So I'm just going to rough it out first, make it circular. Then I'm just going to mess around with a couple of tools and just see what happens really before we try and colour it in. So let's see if the lathe is working. It's good enough for me. Just using a roughing gouge here. Not going to go too fast to start off with. It's going to knock the edges off first. I'll just speed it up a little bit now, just to get the rounding done. You may see me tapping on the top of these every now and again. You can hear that. That means it's not round because you can hear it clicking. And that one's jumping about there. So that just saves me stopping the lathe to see if I'm round or not. So, well, I am quite round. And that's another story. Too many beers and too many kebabs. Speed it up a bit more. It's a lot rounder now. That'll probably do for our first stage. You can see it stops kicking up so much wood chip. That's another indicator that we're getting smooth, because we're only on a roughing gouge. Sorry, that we're getting round rather, not smooth. It won't be particularly smooth at the moment. Okay, let's stop the lathe. As you can see, we're getting round. You can see that we're not quite round, because if you can see there, you can still see the pen mark, so we haven't actually hit that. So we're just getting there. I'll just go a little bit more, a bit higher speed. Just make sure we're right down and round. Okay, now we're round enough, and we've got a little bit of edge on here, but that'll all come off in a moment. So that's that. We will start using a different chisel. Use something like this, which is really just a smaller version of the roughing gouge. But I quite like this. I can get a fairly smooth finish on this, depending whether this is scraping, and if you turn it slightly and go in the direction, then you're cutting. So that's how you get your sort of smooth surfaces. Okay, that's it for this second, or for this moment even. As you can see, we're getting closer to the edge of the bushings here, because this is going to, I've decided this is the top half of the pen, which has a clip on it. Oops, so we can't really do too much bulging with that, because the clip will be pointing outwards. So I'll just finish this off, get down to the other bushing. Okay, for the top part of the pen, that's fine. And that's this bottom part of the pen that we're going to do something a bit different with. So let's have a little think first. Okay, I think I've decided what to do. This is the midpoint of the pen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out gently to about here. So it'll be quite a steep angle, and then this section to that section is going to be quite fat, but we're going to have a little sort of curve inwards. Obviously not that much, but little curve inwards where your fingers might go. It's just an experiment. Then obviously from there to the end, it'll then be quite shallow again. It'll be you know, go back into the bushing, so it's pointed. So we'll see what happens. First, what I'll do is I'll mark it up. So I'll just turn the lathe down a bit, just so I know. There and about, let's say, there. So now what I know I have to do, I have to go from here down to the bushing. So I have to go sort of diagonally, and then the same here. So this will take a bit of time. This is very hard wood with quite a resistant grain. So when you're putting your chisels across it, you can feel it digging in slightly. Well, that's not actually digging, it's just the grain. So we'll have a go and see what happens, shall we? We'll start on the bottom part. That looks about right to me. You can sort of see where I'm going with this. So this tool needs sharpening a little bit, so bear with me a second. I'll just put it on the grinder. Okay, so now we're going to come in from here. Okay, that looks about right so far. You see where I'm going with this? It looks like a fishing float, doesn't it? This will probably feel terrible to write with, but we'll see what happens. Right, now I'm going to get a slightly different tool. So you can see this one, it's got a rounded end. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight in here. I'm going to mark my pencil line again, just where the centre of that bulge is. Just so I can make sure I know I'm going in the right place. Okay, so this is basically, maybe actually a little bit further down. This is where your fingers are going to go. So I don't know how this is going to turn out. It could catch, it could do anything, but we'll see. I don't know whether you can see that on the camera, but you can see there's a nice little indentation there. I'm just trying to feel how that would feel as a pen. I actually think it feels quite nice. I might just go a little bit further down with it and just see what happens. So we'll have it slightly deeper and slightly more curved, or shallower curve. So I'll just go in a bit more here. Okay, I think that's a bit better. Now I'm not sure whether to put another little curve in here as decoration or not. Shall I? Or shall I not? I'm not sure. It's a shame I haven't got a slightly smaller one, but what I am going to do, I'm going to go in with this tool. And this will give it like a little groove. And this is just for decoration. This I'm hoping will make it feel quite nice in your fingers when you're writing. And this bit, it's just a little bit of decoration, so we'll see what happens. Maybe another one? Just a little one. Oh, something a bit different, isn't it? So now the question is, do I colour them in or not? I don't know, you know. I think on this particular one I actually really quite like this. I think this is actually going to look like quite a weird pen. So, you know what, we're not going to paint this one. So, the colouring pens are not going to happen. Not for this one. No, not for this one. See, I was thinking about it hard there. We'll try something else with the pens. Sorry, with the Sharpies. Although they're not Sharpies, they're unbranded Sharpies. Much cheaper. They're probably a load of old rubbish because I've not tried them yet. Okay, what we'll do now is we'll just have a little break and then I'll come and we'll start sanding stuff. Okay, first what we can do is just take off this, get it out of the way so I can do some sanding. I don't have the lathe on too fast to start off with. What we basically do is go from a 150 down to a 400 grit just to smooth all this off and try and give it a nice finish, and just make sure we're right in on the bushings because that dictates where the actual pen fitments match up. So let's turn the lathe on, a little bit faster than that, maybe to about there. I don't actually want to sand this too hard because I don't want to get rid of the detail that I put in it. So I'm barely touching, just taking the roughness away. Down here I will just make sure on the bushings. about right, the nib feels about right, and this one will give a good sand on the top. I'm not pushing too hard because you don't want to put lines all through it. So if you push the sandpaper too hard, you'll get lines, you know, concentric lines. It normally does go away with the finer grit sandpapers, but you don't need to be brutal with it. Feeling quite smooth. I can still feel the grain in it because there's like a really hard grain running through this European oak. I'll do for the, what was that? That was a 150. Now I'm going up to a 240. Now to a 320. And now finally a 400. Again, hardly any pressure on it. It's nice and gentle. If you start feeling the sandpaper getting a bit too hot, then you know you're pressing too hard. I think that'll do. So that's the basic shaping done. You can see a little bit of, I'm not really sure what they call it, where it digs in a little bit. It's not, it's just the grain, it's just the way it sort of frays slightly. But it feels perfectly smooth. And once we've got some polish and stuff on there, that'll soon fill that in. So, now we need to put some white spirit over it to clean it off, and then we'll start some polishing. Okay, I've just got a little bit of white spirit on a rag. This will just get the sand out, the dust out of it all. Sanding. Make sure you stick your little fingernail in these ridges. This is why I've got it running quite slow, because if I stick my fingernails in there while it's spinning fast and it catches, for one I'll probably burn my finger, and secondly it'll blimmin' hurt if it catches. So that's what we're doing. That'll do. Just use the other side just to dry it off a little bit, and I will speed it up now just to help dry it off. Leave that for a minute or two. With this one we're going to use some of this stuff. This is Mylan's friction polish. It's quite an expensive old thing. I seem to have used quite a lot of it. I mean, this was, I think it was nearly £40 for this bottle. So maybe I'm trying to use a bit too much on this stuff. Got to give it a good old shake. And basically how this works, it just builds up. You just put some on gently, and then you build it up, and it almost acts like I don't know, some sort of sealer. I don't really know what it is. It's just a polish, but it does protect the pen for ages, forever even. Maybe after I'm good and buried, it will still be shiny. So first pass on slow speed, just to get it into the wood, and again using my fingernails to get into those couple of little features I put in. Make sure you go right up to the bushings, Let that spin for a minute. Just add another coat. It dries fairly quickly. Don't know whether you can see it starting to shine yet. On the final coat, which I'll do in a second, we turn the lathe up and we actually get some heat into it. So, one more bit on the polish. I'll just close the lid on that so I don't spill any. I'd get told off if I did. Now the final coat going on. Again, just make sure we're going into those cracks. Have little featurettes. Actually, I'm going to put a fourth coat on this. Just going to let this bit dry off. Okay, I'm going to turn my rag over, get a fresh, clean piece. This is why I don't make any profit, because I keep putting too much blooming friction polish on it, and it costs a fortune. In relation to slimline pens. Okay, here we go, going to turn up the lathe speed. And what we're doing is trying to get some heat via friction. I feel my fingers getting a little bit warm. It's not hot, it's just warm. But that got a bit warm. Getting there. I think it's shiny enough. Looks pretty shiny to me. Yeah, it's bringing out the grain really nicely. I'm not sure how much of that you can see. What it is, I will just zoom in. Apologies if it goes out of focus, but you look at the grain on that. If it focuses. Come on girl, focus. I'm not sure whether that's in focus or not. My eyes aren't as good as they should be. But you can see some nice grain. Right, the next stage is we'll get it off this mandrel and I'll get a pen kit ready and we'll put it all together and see what it looks like and see if it actually feels nice to write with. Okay, once I took it off the mandrel I made sure that I kept the grain matching. So we've got a little bit of a nick on it, but nothing that my fingers won't rub off. Once all the fittings on there will be fine. So what we'll do is we're going to start off with the clip end, because that's always seems to be the hardest when I'm doing it, is the blooming clip. So that bit's for the middle, and this goes in here, but it doesn't go through there really. It does once you start pushing it on. This is the thing, I wish it would go straight on there, but it doesn't, so you've got to do a contortion act to try and keep it all together. So we're going to go in this way. Just get a little bit of pressure on it first. Okay, and just make sure she's centered up. And she's not. She will be in a minute. There we go. Just get her in a little bit first. There we go. There's the clip end. You can see that. Next we're going to put the nib in, which we know goes on this end. So if we turn the pen that way round, again just get them to hold together, straighten them out, make sure we're going to go straight in. Oh, that's nice, that's straight in. Next we put what's called the gearbox, believe it or not, and this goes in here. So I just need to put that through one press. reckon about to there. Check. That looks about right to me, how far the nib's coming out. The next bit's really easy. We just slide this on here. Get the top on. And what we do, we turn the pen around, and all we try and do is match up the grain, and it does look matched up. Or does it? It's hard to tell really. I think that's about it. There we go. There's a very bizarre pen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and get a piece of paper and I'll see how it writes. Well, I must say it does look quite bizarre, and I'm sure it's not a revolution in pen design. I'm just going to try. It is a bit high, to be fair. This is a little bit too far up the pen. I'm just going to see. Okay. Splendid pens. Ba-boom! Done! Before we go, I have just had a thought, you know, and I might try this. If I'd made this a clipless pen, so I hadn't bothered putting this part on, just the top part, we could have had this come out again. And it might have looked a bit, you know, a bit cooler. I might try that. See you next time.